Whispers in the Void. 770 words. Simple English third-person style. Long ago, before the stars burned in harmony, the elders of the ancient races spoke of a time when a new species would rise. This species would not just survive, but dominate. They would come from a world that tried to kill them every day. A death world. A blue world full of storms, fire, beasts, and ice, called Earth. The elders warned the galaxy, if the humans leave their world, we must prepare. They will change everything. But the galaxy did not listen. Over time, those old voices faded. The younger generations laughed. Humans? Just another primitive race. Let them try space. They won't last. And so, the warnings were buried. Years passed. A council of galactic powers called the High Union ruled the stars. From their shining seat on Dalvora Prime, they watched over hundreds of systems. Trade flowed. Peace held. And if a new species entered space, the council would test them, decide if they were friend, servant, or threat. When Earth finally sent its first ships beyond the solar system, the council barely noticed. Humans were placed under observation level 2. No contact. No welcome. Let them struggle. But humans did not struggle. Within 10 years, Earth built colonies on 5 barren moons. In 20 years, they terraformed entire planets. In 30 years, they appeared in places faster than the Union's own ships. Their technology, once simple, was now something strange. It evolved fast. Too fast. Still, no one cared. They are just humans, the council repeated. Let them explore. Only one voice spoke up. An old ambassador named Van, who had lived long enough to hear the elders' words as a child, stood before the council. We must approach Earth carefully, Van warned. Their world shaped them in ways we cannot understand. I've seen what their people can do when pushed. Please do not underestimate them. The council laughed. One of the members, a tall, thin leader named Riloth, waved his hand. Fear stories for children, he said. We will show them their place soon enough. But Earth wasn't waiting. Back on the edges of Union territory, a small mining station reported something strange. Their outpost, located on a rocky moon, had gone silent. No distress call. No signal. Just silence. When Union patrols arrived, they found the station intact, but empty. And no bodies. No damage. Just a simple message. Burned into the wall by plasma, you were warned. The patrol thought it was a prank. Maybe pirates. Maybe a protest. But when 3 more stations vanished in the next 2 weeks, with the same message left behind, panic began to grow. Still, the council refused to believe. Send a warning to Earth, said Riloth. If they want a place in this galaxy, they must earn it. The message was sent, Earth replied, but not with words. 4 Terran ships, unmarked and silent, appeared near Dalvora Prime. They did not fire. They did not speak. They simply stayed, observing, watching, and then, they left, gone in less than a minute. No warp trail. No heat signature, gone like ghosts. Now, fear began to rise. Back on Earth, humans watched the council's reaction carefully. They had learned. They had listened. And they knew the signs of a nervous empire, but humans were not looking for war. They had come to build. To explore. To understand, but they would not be ruled, not by the council. Not by anyone. Back in the council chambers, the first real debate began. What were humans planning? How did they move so fast? Why were their ships so quiet? So cold? No one had answers, and the warnings, those ancient warnings the elders had spoken, began to return in whispers. The humans were no longer just explorers, they were something else, something the galaxy had never seen before, and the price for ignoring them was only beginning to be paid. The first mistake. Tension spread through the High Union like cracks through glass. The council tried to hide their worry, but the outer systems saw it. Whispers filled markets, hangars, and government halls. Everyone had the same question: why is Earth so quiet? Silence from humans was worse than war. The council could not admit fear. So they chose the oldest answer. They acted with force. A small fleet was sent toward the Terran colony on Delta 4, under orders to show strength. The plan was simple. Surround the human base, demand surrender, and remind Earth who ruled the stars. The fleet commander, Drolan, had fought dozens of battles. He believed humans would panic, they are just new arrivals, he said to his crew. Push them a little, and they'll bow. But when his ships arrived above Delta 4, they found no fear, they found readiness. The colony had no orbital weapons, no warships, no defenses. Just buildings. People. Children playing under silver domes. Farmers working fields. Scientists walking between labs, but the humans looked up, and none of them looked scared. Drolan opened a channel. This is Union Commander Drolan. Stand down and prepare for inspection. The message echoed. No reply. He sent it again, still nothing. Then, a single human voice answered. Calm. Male. No emotion. This is Earth Colony Delta 4. We received your message. We do not comply. Drolan laughed. They do not comply, he said, turning to his officers. They'll comply when they see our weapons heat up. But then, the mistake happened. One of Drolan's ships, impatient, aggressive, locked targeting sensors on the colony's surface. Just a warning, they thought, but Earth had watchers. A flash of light tore through the darkness. Not from the colony, but from deep space. A Terran ship. Just one. Small. Black. No markings. In 3 seconds, the Union ship that had locked its weapons was gone. Not damaged, gone. No explosion. Just light, then silence. Drolan's fleet panicked. Sensors screamed. They turned their guns toward the unknown ship, but it was already gone. They couldn't track it. Couldn't fight it. Then the voice returned. This was your warning. There will be no second. And the channel closed. The fleet fled across the galaxy. News spread like fire. The council tried to control the message, claiming a technical failure, but witnesses shared everything. Videos. Audio. Data logs. The footage of one Union ship vanishing in a heartbeat played on every shadow network across 3 sectors. The people began to ask questions the council couldn't answer. How powerful are humans? Why did they only destroy one ship? Why did they let the rest go? Some saw it as mercy. Others as a message. Either way, the galaxy had been warned again, and this time, by humans themselves. Back on Earth, the response was quiet. No parades. No speeches. No war threats. Just preparation. Humans didn't want war, but they would never kneel. The council met behind closed doors for hours. Some wanted diplomacy. Some demanded retaliation, but the oldest counselor, a woman with skin like folded stone, said only one thing: the elders warned us. And no one laughed this time. The council divides. The council chamber felt colder than usual. Not because of the temperature, but because of fear. Fear that the galaxy's peace was no longer real. Fear that Earth had power they could not measure. And fear that the old legends were all true. The council was no longer united. One side, led by Reloth and other hardliners, demanded action. They called humans arrogant and dangerous. They said Earth had to be brought under control before it spread like fire through dry stars. Do not mistake their silence for peace, Reloth said. They think themselves above us. We must strike first. But the other side, including Councillor Ila, one of the few who had ever met a human in person, argued for restraint. They did not fire first, Ila reminded them. They defended a colony. And they did it without killing more than one ship. That shows discipline, not madness. Her words found some support. A few council members lowered their heads, remembering the old warnings. The elders had once said, they will not ask for war. But if you bring it to them, they will end it. Outside the chamber, the galaxy watched. On trading stations and colony worlds, people whispered about the human ship that moved like smoke and struck like thunder. On military bases, generals studied the video in silence. Pirates stopped targeting Terran ships. Smugglers erased human colonies from their routes, and something strange happened on the edges of space. Races that had long ignored Earth suddenly reached out. A small planet ruled by insect-like beings sent a gift: seeds that could grow forests on frozen worlds. A water-based species offered blueprints for advanced filtration tech. Even the reclusive crystal-bonded race sent an ancient artifact with a note, for the ones who rose from death's own cradle. Humans received them all, and said nothing. Back in the council chambers, debate turned to chaos. Should we isolate them? Someone shouted, too late for that. Then blockade Earth itself. Do you want war? Better war than extinction. Only. Silence calmed the room. A single message had arrived, not from Earth, from a distant listening post in a dark sector near the galactic edge. One word, gone. The post had vanished. No trace. No wreckage. Just like the Union ship above Delta 4. Except this time, there had been no warning. No message. No Terran ship spotted, just disappearance. Isla stood and stared at the screen. This wasn't Earth. She whispered. This was someone else. For a long time, no one spoke. The council had made one assumption, that the humans were the only rising power. Now they had to face a new fear. What if Earth was not the threat? What if Earth was the shield? The hidden truth. The council fell into silence. For all their pride and power, no one knew what to do next. The loss of the outer listening post, without warning, without trace, was different. It wasn't like before. There was no sign of Terran presence. No evidence. Just absence, and humans always left a message. Now fear turned into doubt. On Earth, the news of the missing post reached quietly. A simple note was added to a black file buried deep within a bunker under the Pacific Command Tower. A man read the report. He nodded once and passed it along. No alarm. No panic, because the humans already knew, long ago, before the council ever noticed Earth, humans had encountered something beyond the stars. Something that did not speak. Something that did not reason. A shadow in the void that devoured everything, silently. And completely. It had taken 3 human research vessels before they understood. Earth stopped expanding into that part of space. They mapped it. Sealed it. Marked it with ancient signals designed to confuse and redirect, and they kept it secret. But now the council's careless curiosity had stirred it again. Humanity's hand had been forced back on Earth. Preparations began. Hidden fleets were activated. Orbital factories lit up. On the moon, quiet stations came to life with machines older than most star empires. AI minds, asleep for 100 years, opened their eyes, and Earth still said nothing. The council had no idea. Meanwhile, small independent scouts from other species started investigating Earth, hoping to learn the secret of Terran strength. Most were caught. Some were released unharmed, but one went missing. His name was Taylor. A deep-range explorer from a minor planet. He believed he could observe Earth and escape unseen. He didn't. Instead, he found himself sitting in a cold, white room, facing a human, not a soldier, not a diplomat. A woman with sharp eyes and a plain coat. She did not shout. She simply asked, "Why are you watching us?" Taylor explained. He told her everything, the fears of his people, the council's confusion, the whispers of Terran power. He spoke of the missing post, of the elders' warnings, and how everyone was afraid. When he finished, the woman leaned forward. "We are not your enemy," she said. "But you are right to be afraid." Taylor swallowed. "Then what are you?" The woman stood. Behind her, the wall changed, displaying images, ruined worlds, shattered moons, dead stars. "This is what's coming," she said. "Not from us, but from beyond." Taylor stared, unable to speak. The woman looked at him one last time. "Tell your council, they are looking at the wrong threat." Then, he was returned to his ship. No harm. No chains. Just the truth. And when he flew back toward Union space, he didn't stop to rest. He burned his engines until they melted. He had to warn them, because now he understood what the humans had been preparing for. They weren't just defending their place in the galaxy, they were holding the line. Earth breaks its silence. Taylor's ship arrived at Union space battered and steaming, barely holding together. But he refused medical aid, refused rest. He went straight to the council. His words shattered the room. "They are not preparing for war against us," he said. "They are preparing for something else. Something worse." He showed the recordings, images from Earth's deep archives, the conversation with the human woman, and the silent ruins she revealed. Council members stared, horrified. Some denied it, fabricated, real. Growled. A human trick. But the images were clear. The patterns of destruction matched old reports. Reports the council had buried. Forgotten. Chunks of galaxies missing. Stars that vanished, with no supernova, no warning, and the humans had proof. Not only had they known, they had been preparing for over a century. Reluth stood and slammed his hand on the table. "So Earth thinks itself the galaxy's protector. Now? They hide the truth from us, play games in the dark, and expect us to follow. They expected nothing, Counselor Ila replied softly. They only acted because we didn't. The council was split again, but this time, not in fear of Earth and now. In fear of what Earth might be standing between them, and meanwhile, on the Terran side of space, the truth was spreading fast. A human message went out. Not encrypted. Not hidden. Just open, on all frequencies. This is Earth. You have stirred something that cannot be stopped. We will not fight you. But we will stand in its way. Alone, if we must. Some took the message as arrogance. Others as desperation. But a few understood. Across nearby systems, small independent fleets started rerouting closer to Earth. One mining union offered fuel. A merchant alliance provided freighter escorts. Even the silent crystal beings sent ships, not to fight, but to watch, because deep down, they knew something humans had accepted long ago: the galaxy was not safe, and Earth had never been afraid of danger. In a hidden facility beneath the Arctic ice, Earth's highest command met with its oldest AI war constructs. The air hummed with quiet power. What's the latest movement? One general asked. The AI spoke with calm, mechanical precision. Mass signatures detected on the edge of Sector 9. Silent. Unidentified. Matching void event patterns. They are coming. Estimated arrival? 17 days. If undisturbed. And if disturbed? The AI paused. 5. The room grew quiet. The general looked around the room. What about the Union? They won't believe until it reaches them, another voice said. But by then, it will be too late. So Earth made its decision. The silence ended. Every Terran colony received the same 2 words: initiate Protocol V. Ships uncloaked. Defense grids lit up. Old machines, buried in moons and asteroid fields, powered on. Across the Sol system, Earth's real strength was revealed, not flashy. Not loud. Just ready. And when the other species saw what Earth had been hiding, they no longer saw a young species, they saw a Guardian .1 with scars .1 that had already survived what they had never imagined. When the sky cracked 4 years, the edge of Sector 9 had been a dark, forgotten stretch of space. Empty. Cold. Lifeless. The kind of place even pirates didn't visit. But now, it was awake. The sensors in orbit around Earth's outer colonies were the first to detect the change. 1 second, nothing. The next, a crack in space, not a sound, but a feeling. Like the universe itself had taken a breath and held it. Out of that darkness came the first shape. It wasn't a ship. It wasn't even alive. It was a mass. A black swarm of shifting metal and shadow, larger than moons, silent and directionless. It didn't give off signals. It didn't answer hails. It simply moved, and everything in its path died. Entire planets, wiped clean, stars dimmed as if choking on fear. The Council finally understood. The stories were true. What Earth had seen first, what Earth had been preparing for, had arrived. They sent a message to Earth. From the High Union. We request alliance. We request protection. The message was not answered, and not at first. Then, one day before the swarm reached a populated sector, Earth responded, we warned you. But then came the second message: we will hold the line. Not for you. For life itself. At once, the Terran Armada moved, not one fleet, but many ships that had never been seen before. Huge, dark vessels made from materials no other race could identify. Each one powered by systems that didn't rely on fusion or warp, they ran on something deeper, older. Controlled gravity. Tamed singularities. The spires moved in silence. No banners. No threats. Just purpose. They positioned themselves between the approaching swarm and the nearest systems. People across the stars tuned into live feeds. Billions watched from across the galaxy, and then, the battle began. No sound in space, but the visuals were unforgettable. Terran weapons that bent light. Shields that shattered the swarm like glass. Swarm tendrils lashed out, swallowing asteroids and burning moons, but the human ships did not fall. They burned, they cut, they endured. One by one, swarm clusters imploded, dragged into black holes created by Earth's new cannons. Others were lured into artificial gravity traps and torn apart. Human AI war constructs spoke as they fought, not with fear, but with cold calculation, threat level, maximum. Survival priority, secondary. Objective, containment. Completion, 41%. But the swarm was not infinite, and Earth was not alone anymore. From nearby sectors, brave captains, alien, human, and hybrid, rushed to support. A rogue flotilla of insectoid ships arrived first, firing wave-pulse weapons in support of the humans. Then came the silver-winged birds of the Delari people, singing battle hymns as they dove into fire. Even the silent crystal beings unleashed energy arcs across the swarms back at the galaxy. Had finally united, not under the Council, but under Earth's example, and as the skies burned, one truth became clear to all: Earth was never just a death world, Earth was a warning. A weapon, and, above all, a shield. Asterisk. The price of being the shield. The battle lasted 41 hours. 41 hours of blinding light, shattered matter, and silence filled with death. Across the stars, countless beings watched in silence. Every corner of the galaxy was tuned in, holding its breath, as if the entire universe had become one living thing, watching a single heartbeat. And Earth did not break, but it bled. 3 major Terran fleets were lost. 17 colonies sent their last transmission. Thousands of ships, human and alien, were turned to drifting dust, but the swarm had stopped, not destroyed, not gone. Driven back, what remained of it slipped back into the dark crack from which it had come. For now, at least, it had been held off. The final image that spread across the galaxy showed one human battleship, half-burned, engines gone, drifting in space. Its lights flickered. Its hull was torn open, but still, a message pulsed from it, simple, defiant, line held. The Council did not speak publicly for days. Their grand chamber remained dark, and many members resigned in silence. Some disappeared. Others simply broke, shamed by what they hadn't done, by how Earth had saved them despite their mockery. Across the galaxy, things changed quickly. Treaties were rewritten, with Earth at the center. The Council was no longer seen as the power it once was. Instead, people looked to the planet they once ignored. A world that had been forged in chaos. A species that had learned to survive on a planet that hated them and turned that survival into mastery. Aliens who once laughed at humans now sent gifts, emissaries, and, most of all, respect. Earth accepted, quietly. They did not celebrate, they held funerals. Tens of thousands. In orbit above Earth, a monument was built. A massive black ring, carved with every species symbol who had fallen in the battle. Human, alien, AI at the center of. The ring bore only 5 words, for those who held the line. On that day, something changed forever. The galaxy remembered the warnings of the elders. They remembered how they ignored them, and how Earth still stood, not to conquer, not to rule, but because when death came for all, Earth stood in the way. Star.